you can hold in your hands. Imagine waking up tomorrow morning and being greeted with cash in hand you can use for anything you want. As you're about to see, this really can happen for you too, just like it has for thousands of others. I'll get to all the exciting details in just a moment. First though, let me back up and introduce myself. My name is Alexander Wilson, and for the next few minutes, you can think of me as your journey guide. My highest intention is to help you awaken a long-forgotten part of yourself, a God-given power to turn your greatest desires into an immediate command to the universe. So, if you're ready to unleash the greatness hiding within, then please take my hand and let's leap forward. Before I reveal my magic secret, I need to start at the beginning and share with you the deeply personal story that brought me here today. You see, not that long ago, I was living a lie, a secret double life. No, I wasn't some covert agent or hiding in the witness protection program. That's not the kind of double life I'm talking about. The one I was living was the kind found on social media, because if you had come across my Facebook page back then, you'd think I was living the dream life, one filled with meals out to restaurants, parties with friends, and a fast-moving career. But the truth was, those social media snapshots were just that, snapshots. They didn't tell the full story about what was really going on in my life. They didn't reveal the heartache, the struggle, and the deep shame that was secretly consuming me. Because the reality was, after a series of wrong turns in my career and love life, it was like I'd fallen off a cliff, and now I was trapped at rock bottom. At the time, I was living alone in the cheapest place I could find, a small backyard pool house. Now sure, I know the idea of living in a pool house might not sound that bad, maybe even a little glamorous to some. But this pool house wasn't the kind you'd find in the back of a mansion in a millionaire's backyard. No, the reality was the pool was never actually built. The roof was missing shingles, it lacked central air conditioning, and the heating system barely worked. Really, my home was less like a pool house and more like a glorified tool shed. Now, I wasn't homeless. Occasionally, I'd even make a pretty decent income for the month, but it felt like every time a nice check showed up, it was quickly devoured by an ever-growing list of expenses. Bills, unexpected medical invoices, and repairs for my old four-wheeled rust bucket left me no choice but to turn to my credit card. My balance kept on rising, interest piled up, and soon it got to the point where there was no digging my way out. My life was about to come crashing down, all in the span of one weekend from hell. It all started on a late Friday afternoon when my boss asked me to step into his office for a talk. Now, I knew this job was temporary when I started, but since then, my boss had promised many times I'd be transitioned into a full-time position. But now, with no warning at all, I was being let go on the spot. In an instant, my income vanished before my eyes. I was upset, but I didn't have much time to feel sorry for myself, because losing my job was just the first of 3 disasters that were about to leave my world in shatters. The second, I didn't have to wait long. As I'm driving home, I hear a sudden thud. Terror fills my veins as my engine sputters off in the middle of a busy highway. There's cars to my right. I can't get over. Luckily, a left-sided exit appears just in the nick of time. I just barely managed to swerve over and safely land in a grassy area as cars whiz past. At this point, I'm in shock. I was happy to be alive, but now I wasn't just jobless, but now my car was gone too. Piece by piece, my life was falling apart. I remember coming home that night and just collapsing to the floor in exhaustion, my back against the wall. I couldn't move. It felt like the weight of the world was bearing down on my shoulders, and I didn't know how much more I could take. At that moment, I had never felt so alone and helpless in my life. The next day, I spent the morning in a daze, just collecting myself until my stomach begins growling. I realized I hadn't eaten since early yesterday, so I order up an Uber to grab a quick bite to eat. Now, in case you don't know, Uber is basically a modern-day taxi service, where regular people drive you around in their personal cars. Normally, they're college students or people trying to earn an extra buck in their spare time. But when my ride pulls up and I open the door, I notice my driver is unlike any I'd ever met before. Her name is Phoenix, and it's like she had just stepped out of a time machine from 1960s Woodstock. She's donning a beautiful flower dress, blue dreamcatcher earrings, and she's wearing a necklace that holds a sparkling crystal. We began talking, and she notices that my eye gravitates toward the clock. 5:55, she says. You know what that means, don't you? I didn't, but she explained. Sometimes when we need guidance the most in life, our guardian angels give us signs. And when you see 555 out of the blue, it means big changes to bring you on your true path or